Yeah. This reminds me of one story, actually. So I could introduce myself as Dhammaloka, but saying that, I'm reminded of one situation when I was in a seminar with Bhante. And it was, at that time, it was custom when people said something in the seminar, it was videoed as well, or at least audio taped. When people said something, they would introduce themselves. So I said, Dhammaloka speaking, and wanted to start my question. And then there was a voice, a sort of low voice from the side coming, Dhammaloka. So I said again, Dhammaloka speaking, and there was again sort of, and it was Bhante's voice coming from the side, Dhammaloka. So next time I got it right and was able to say my name, Dhammaloka. And maybe half an hour later, 10 minutes later or whenever, I had another question, and sort of always being a little nervous when Bhante was around, I said, Dhammaloka speaking, and then there was the voice again, Dhammaloka. And so it went on in that whole seminar. So that's that one story.
Right.
It's Dhammaloka speaking. Okay. Yeah. I'm Dhammaloka. I'm from Germany. In 1992, Bhante came to Germany for a longer visit. That was particularly for the European Buddhist Union conference in Berlin. Berlin had only been united, or Germany had been reunited 3 years ago. And Bhante actually stayed in Germany for quite a while. We first had a retreat for a week somewhere near Berlin, and then we went to the European Union Buddhist conference. And I was sort of his attendant during the time, and actually before he'd come I had gone through quite a difficult period. I didn't really feel particularly strongly inspired by our work. I had started working as a management trainer, was quite fed up with it. I earned quite a bit of money but didn't really like it. And I felt in quite a state, and was really looking forward to have an opportunity to speak to Bhante, to ask him about his views, to hopefully get his advice. And I remember during the retreat, I was in a sense looking after him, arranging appointments for him when he was going to see people, and had quite a bit of contact with him, and I was quite glad to get in a sort of appointment for myself with him as well, which which materialized, if you can say so, or which we met for a walk on one day. So we left the retreat center, went for a walk. Bhante had his camera with him. I think he'd only started regularly taking photographs maybe 2 or 3 years ago, and he seemed to be quite fond of it. And I was walking with him, and on my mind these weighty questions which I wanted to talk to him about, ask him about. And well, we just started walking into the fields a little bit, and I tried to introduce my theme, and hadn't sort of even got to clearly saying what I wanted to say when he just took his camera and look this there, took a photo somewhere. And so we walked again a little bit, and sort of I tried to get into the theme again, and when I was just about to say what it was about, he said, "Oh, look, this beautiful bird there." And so it went on for quite a while. So we probably walked for 40 minutes or so. There was no chance whatsoever for me to get my theme across to him. And we finished our walk, and I was quite upset, quite furious, and just for the rest of the retreat continued to make dates for him, and always thinking to myself, well, these people have all these wonderful conversations with him, and I don't get anywhere. After the retreat we went to Berlin, went to the European conference, and still I was driving him around, in many ways, again arranging dates and partly translating for him. I remember actually translating at the European Buddhist conference and getting quite furious with him while I tried to translate his talk. And there were all these, maybe say a little bit why I got furious. Bhante seemed to start a sentence and then sort of, probably to help me, bringing it into German, he stopped in the middle of the sentence and let me translate. But since German grammatical structure is quite a bit different from English, that doesn't quite work, because I needed somehow to know how the sentence would continue, particularly how it would end, in order to build the right German structure, and that wasn't possible. So there I was with his half-finished sentences, trying to somehow build some German structures which hopefully would be open to all kinds of roads, all kinds of endings. And I was getting more and more fed up and quite annoyed with our non-cooperation. And there were these other people sitting in the auditorium. There was Sogyal Rinpoche, there was Thich Nhat Hanh sitting, there was Ayya Khema sitting, and I was standing there and I was thinking, oh no, all these people, they see sort of how, in a way, on how bad terms I am with my teacher. What will they think? What will they think of my teacher? What will they think of me? And I really would have wanted to just sink into the ground and sink into, just get away. But there was no way of getting away. Now that was just part during that convention, and I continued to drive Bhante around and got more and more alienated, got more and more distanced towards him over the days. I remember once we were just getting from the place where the conference was taking place to the hotel, and there was Bhante sitting next to me, and I think in the back of the car there were Kulananda and there were Anamurati. And the three of them were talking about what had just happened during the conference, and how there had been sort of certain conversations and comments. And I also had this sort of grim and heavy thoughts in my own mind. Well, all these people like Kulananda and Anamurati, they are just repeating Bhante. Oh yes, Bhante. Oh wonderful Bhante. Oh you are so right, Bhante. And I thought, it's all rubbish. I want to get out. It's terrible. I just want to get away. And this went on for days and days, so until the end of the conference. And there was one last day coming, and I still was to perhaps go with Bhante or bring them to one of the museums or maybe to another place. And I just felt I couldn't possibly continue any longer. There was a good friend in town as well at that time, Yashodeva, who I hadn't had an opportunity to see much of during these days before, and I really would have loved to spend some time with him, and sort of we talked a bit about it. And he suggested, well, why not just ask Bhante whether he can relieve you of your duties for the day, and we just spend the day with each other. And I went to Bhante, and I was within myself, so quite trembling and quite stirred up, and I felt so with tears in my eyes, sort of went to Bhante and said, Bhante, I cannot go on any longer. I'm so upset. I'm so sad. I'm so unhappy in this situation. I just cannot go on. And at that point, Bhante suddenly turned to me in a way which I had never perceived him addressing me, never perceived him communicating with me, and said, Dhammaloka, I really wish you to be happy. And so quite suddenly, sort of all this anger, all this sadness, all this annoyment, all this sort of rage really sort of fell away. I quite, in that moment really, suddenly noticed, well, all the time during all that period, I had to try, in a sense, to get something very particular from him. I wanted him to solve my problems. I wanted him to tell me, this is the way, that is the way, that is the way. And just this sort of very, very little incident has just changed my relationship with Bhante to such an extent that, well, in a sense, I felt I cannot say I didn't need him. Maybe I can say so, I'm not sure. I think I didn't try to use him in the way I had before any longer.